Hi there, this is how you make charcoal on a big scale, but did you know you can actually make it on your own fire? So I'm going to do a little video that covers that as well as charcloth and charboard. Yes, that was an awful joke, but it's been brewing for a while, so you've got to forgive me on that. So I'll start with charcloth. This was an article that I did back in the day for Scouting magazine on how to make it, and it was also on the website as well, and it isn't now, which is annoying. So let's get cracking. This is actually one of two videos. The other one's got some novelty and experimental things in it, and for all the things done in both videos you'll need a tin like this you can put in the flames, good fitting lid, and you'll need to have a hole punched in the top with something like a nail. First of all, we need to get some material sorted to make the charcloth. I'm going to use some good stuff and cook some rubbish stuff as well, just to show you the contrast. I think I might have just overdone it with the amount of material I've collected to make this video. Let's tidy that up a little bit. That's better. Here's a small part of what we're going to be cooking up. Natural twine, old mop heads, Hessian or jute shopping bags, dishcloths, old tea towels, denim with nothing added, calico and medical bandages, and downy seeds like thistle, 65 to 35% polyester and cotton mix, viscose, which is somewhere between man-made and natural, 50-50 polyester cotton mix. Once you've selected your materials and you've got your tin with your hole through the lid, you ram the tin full like that, put the lid on tightly like that, and then it's onto the fire. As you can see here, you will get smoke and the occasional flame coming out, and it will make noises quite often, but that's absolutely fine. Just let it run its course until the smoking stops. Well, I've just built the fire back up and there's no reason why I shouldn't get a brew going on top of that now. If you do get a tin where the lid pops off, if you're lucky enough, you can get it out, turn it upside down and put some weight on, and that can sometimes help. When it stops smoking, carefully take it out, being careful not to burn yourself, and pop a stick in the top to stop the air getting in. Burn time can be very variable, depends on the fire, the substance that you use in the wind, etc. And that's cooled down. Just pull the stick out and have a look what we got. Oh, that looks good. Yeah, nice and black. Well, let's give it a go. To ignite the charcloth, we'll either use the flint and steel, which is on the left, or a ferro rod, which is on the right. Yeah, there we go. That's good stuff. Very good stuff. Flint and steel set. You put the charcloth on top of your bit of flint, and then fire your steel at it like this. There we go, here's a little roundup of some of the other good ones that I've just done. On the left is some char string, in the middle char seed, this is actually poplar down, and on the right that's a little bit of Hessian bag. And that's showing you some good charcloth, but this is typically what you'll get from your man-made substances. This is polyester. Listen to that, nasty. So that's a pretty comprehensive run through making charcloth. What we're going to move on to now is charboard, and I first saw this in Bushcraft and Survival Skills magazine, issue 27, in an article by Dustin James. First thing you've got to do is rip up a load of newspaper into tiny pieces. The article does suggest you could use a blender when you're at home, but I've not had much luck with mine personally, but it might just be my model. So I'm just going to while away the hours on camp, ripping them up by hand. So that's what a couple of medium sheets of newspaper look like ripped up. Now in his article just didn't suggest to just put in a little damp water in, but what I'm going to do is just put some just off the boil water in. Because he blends his as well, but I find that if you put hot water in, just leave that to have a little soak in there, that'll turn into a mush in no time. And then when you've finished, strain the water out, you get something like this. It doesn't look particularly much. It's just a shame you couldn't put it in a device in the washing machine, because it'd be excellent for this. And now what you do is just squish it into a thin layer and then dry it. If you've squeezed too much water out, just put another little bit in to wet its whistle. So it now looks suspiciously like some kind of value porridge that you get from a supermarket. What I'm going to do is put it in my little reflector oven here, I've just moved some embers over, and that's about 250 degrees Celsius in there, so this should dry bone hard very soon. Yep, that's hot. So we've gone from value porridge to value pancake, and once that cools down I'll be breaking that up and putting it in a tin and then into the fire and charring it. You might need to give it a little encouragement to get it off whatever hot plate you've decided to dry it on. There we go, last of it in, and that's going to go on the fire with the lid on. Charboard's finished its smoke, I'm going to whip it out and plug the hole. We're all pegged and on with other things while I wait for it to cool down. And that's what you're left with. Stuff like that. You can see even firing sparks out at this stage, it's glowing nicely. So we add some small bits of paper to the charboard, add a little bit more moisture, smash it up and dry it again, and then it's ready. There we are, it's all ready now to go back in and dry, but you can see from my fingers it is a little bit messy. Here's the charboard. There we go, you can't see it on the camera, they're tiny, but that's taken. And that's it in close up. What you can try is making charcoal. I've got a tin here of little bits of wood of various types. I mean, there are certain wood types that you should be using for charcoal, but you know, this isn't a big kiln that's going to take days to cool off. It's just for a bit of fun. Comes as no surprise, you just put it in the middle of your fire and just start banking the embers up. Go after a few minutes, they're ticking over nicely. That one on the right hand side was starting to get quite vociferous, so I actually pulled a little bit of wood away because I didn't want the pressure getting too big and blowing the lid off. I'm just wondering if this charcoal tin here actually has some birch in it, because that might be birch oil coming out the top. Yeah, I've just put some on the end of a stick and put it in a flame, and that's burning with a sooty flame on there. So yeah, I'm guessing that was actually birch oil, which you actually heat the birch bark to distill anyway, so it's not too far from the process. So they've had, oh, I don't know, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. I think they're just coming to finishing, but what I've done is just turned them on the side and rotated them a little bit just to see that they're cooked evenly. That's always a good sign if there's noise in there. So you can see that's reduced down a little bit, but that's going to be good to go. Now the second one had done pretty well, but there were a couple or three pieces that were still sort of slightly brown in there, but it's no problem. Like with Charcloth, if it's not done fully, you can always chuck it straight back in again. There's a lovely velvety feeling about that, it's good stuff. Now, that charcoal I've made will take quite readily. It's not like some of the commercial stuff where you practically have to napalm it to get it going. So what I'm going to do is just collect some spruce twigs, some dried ones, which have got their own oils in, which should help with a little bit of silver birch to get it going quite nicely. Well, it's a cold old morning, so there's no better time for me to get that charcoal that I've made and put it through its paces to make me a brew. This might look like an absolute ton of charcoal, but of course it's jacked up by all these spruce twigs that I collected yesterday, and there's a little bit of the birch bark in the bottom. A little bit of extra fuel there. It's about a minute later, it's like watching a slow burning fuse with that silver birch. There might be a little bit of accelerant value from that wood that I made yesterday, which I thought was birch, but I think it'll be minimal. You can really hear the charcoal popping now, and in fact if you look there, that's starting to turn white, that bit already that's just fallen. And you can see here after like 2.5 minutes the actual level has dropped down noticeably as the twigs and birch are burnt through. And this is about sort of 3.5 minutes from the side. You can see it's turning very white, and never mind a brew, I could cook a steak on this. Looking nice and white in there. Time for the brew. Up to that heat has taken probably 5 or 6 minutes. So we're on the boil, and that's 5 minutes. Cheers! Nice warm tea and a nice little stove to sit by. And you can see in just over 10 minutes it's done a right number on that big piece of sturdy wood that I had as a base.